All right. Hey. Here it is, kid. Durston X Dome. Let's not waste any time. Let's go set it up. Hey gang, here we are. We made it to Yosemite and we are here to set up the X Dome for the first time. Now look, I know there's already dozens of videos out there about the X Dome, and this is my 2 cents on the product and my sticker. We'll just put that away for now. Let's get rolling. Let's see how this thing sets up. I'm using a ground sheet only because the ground here is pretty moist from recent snow, and try to keep the tent a little bit clean. And it is chilly, so I got my gloves on. So I got it set up backwards from the camera for the door, so let me flip it around. And this is one of the beauties of freestanding tents. I can turn it around. There we go. Now let's put the inner, let's get the inner on. Well, there you have it. Not staked out, but that was the first setup. So there you have it. That's the first setup, my first setup anyway, of the Durston X Dome. Looks like a beautiful tent. Stakes out nicely. Very large vestibule, which the Durston tents are really known for. It's got a couple of additional guy out points on each side, which if there's a lot of wind, you probably want to use. You can also tie down both ends and the back lower to the ground to kind of keep any additional wind from blowing in. But hey, it looks like a great tent. Let's get inside and take a look at what the space is like and how it feels. The first thing I noticed over here was the door is 2 zippers, so it's not one movement, it's 2 movements to open the door. Not a big deal, but just something to notice. And of course, magnetic door holders here. All right, so now I have my full 25-inch Nemo tensor, or whatever the new brand of Nemo tensors are, in here, and the foot end does fill up the space at the foot end, but there's more than a foot here next to the head area where you can lay out whatever you're charging, your book, your maps, whatever. Plenty of space here. You can put your backpack here. Of course, you could also leave it outside in the vestibule, but plenty of space inside the tent to store things at night. Hey, good morning, everybody. Had a great night in my brand new Durston X Dome. Great tent. I got to tell you, it is just a palace inside. Dare I say, maybe almost too big for a one person, but really, really nice tent. While I was in the tent last night, I did think of a few more things that I wanted to share with you this morning. So let's get into it. So as I was laying in bed last night, I was thinking about the whole setup. And one of the, I guess, gotchas you want to think about is whether you want to keep the inner attached every time you take down your tent. I'll keep my inner attached. And when I do that, I realize that the inner is going to get pulled in. And so getting this, clear this out here a little bit for you, getting this bottom attachment onto the pole might be a challenge. I'll have to fish around for that clasp to get onto the pole. Let me just take these apart here and kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. And these poles, you're going to want to bend a little bit to get the clasps off. That gets them off a lot easier as I say that. There we go. So this inner is going to be somewhere else, right? And then when I want to attach it, obviously I can see the outer, that goes right in, no problem. And then I'll have to find the inner to attach it. And I don't suspect that's going to be a big problem, but something to think about, all right? That inner is going to be potentially difficult to find. That's the first thing I want to mention. Down on the vestibule end, I wanted to mention a couple things as well. First of all, people have talked about the floating floor. That is a non-issue. I mean, once you get in the tent, your pad is going to settle. You're going to be fine. The floating floor is not a problem. I know people have talked about adding cordage to get that floor on the ground. It's just totally a non-problem, so don't worry about it. However, this string here, again, I don't know if you can see it, but this string here, if you do have things stored in here, it can catch. As you can see there, it can catch, and that can, pull the tent around. It could potentially damage this, but just something to keep in mind. Maybe you want to keep an extra piece of cordage in your kit just in case. So the final two things that I want to talk about in the tent here that I thought about last night is the vent. So the vent you cannot access from inside the tent. So in my SL1 here, there's a zipper. I can open it up and open and close the vent from inside the tent at night. And so here in the X-Dome, you don't have that ability. So you just have to get out of the tent in the middle of the night to do that if you need to. So just something to keep in mind, and maybe something Dan might want to think about for a future version of the tent. The other thing is it's got this massive, so this is the final thing, the massive pocket here, and then there's another pocket right here. Just wonderful, wonderful pockets, and well thought out. But there is no pocket on the other end of the tent. So depending upon site selection, let's say the slope is set in such a way that your door would open up to a tree or a rock, and so you want to flip the tent around. And so your head ends up on the other end of the tent. Well, then your pockets are at the feet. So there's no pockets down at the foot end of the tent. So there's something else to think about, probably more of a nuisance than anything else, but just thought I'd mention that. Overall, great tent. Looking forward to using it this summer. So take care and good hiking.